Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Erin and today I have a very exciting video that I have been looking forward to filming for a very long time, and that is my mid-year inventory. As we started getting closer to the middle of the year, I made sure that my spreadsheets were up to date and I made sure to track all of my purchases very diligently, and so I'm excited to share my inventory with you guys. I will make sure to have my end of the year / beginning of the year inventory video linked up in the eye, and then I'll also have like my vanity tour so you guys can see how I store all of these products. I'll make sure to have that linked up in the eye and also linked down below throughout the video. But without a whole lot of rambling to this intro, let's go ahead and look at my inventory. If you're new to my channel, hello, I'm Erin, but I am a nerd for spreadsheets and everything tracking with my beauty collection. I've been on a controlled buy for a couple years, which means that I pay a lot of attention to the amount of money that I'm spending on my items and also the amount of money that my products are worth at the end of the year. Dogs barking in the background. But with me tracking, that leaves me with very accurate numbers on what my collection is doing. And of course, I want to be mindful of that because I want to make sure that I am going to be able to use the majority of my products up before they go bad. So I have all of my items broken down into their category. I have photos, I have numbers. I'm going to share my inventory sheet and also a comparison between last year and this year. I will share that at the end of the video. Also, my inventory spreadsheets, I have a Google link down below that you guys can copy and paste those spreadsheets and those formulas into your own like Excel numbers or Google Drive. You guys can copy and paste that spreadsheet into your own program and use that inventory program as well if you want to get into tracking your own items. But I think I'm going to do this like I did at the end of the year, which I kind of have an overlay and I'm talking in the background. But our first category that we're going to go into is primers. So if we look, we see that I have a lot of the e.l.f. Jelly Pop primers. Those are my absolutely favorite Holy Grail primers. So when e.l.f. released them, I did pick up 11 of them. So at the beginning of the year, I did have 7 primers. So at the beginning of the year, I did have the Hard Candy Primer, the e.l.f. Pore Primer, and then the other 5 were the Jelly Pops, and so I did bring 11 more Jelly Pops into my collection. So I was able to pan 3 primers so far this year. I didn't declutter any of those, and again, I brought in 11 new ones. This is probably the category where things, not probably, this is the category that grew the most, and that is just because I want to make sure that I have Jelly Pop primers to last me for the next couple years. But if we are moving on to my next category, I do have my foundations. So at the beginning of the year, I had 3 foundations, and now I have 4. At the beginning of the year, I did have the Juvia's Place, the Missha, and then I had a Shiseido foundation. The one that I have panned is the Shiseido foundation, and I did purchase 2, which was the Estee Lauder and the Fenty Beauty Ease Drop. Those are my 2 new ones, so I do have 4 foundations at the middle of the year, but as you guys can see in the picture, my Juvia's Place and my Missha foundation are almost done. So super excited to have 2 more foundation empties later on this year. But my next category that I have, I consider this my mixers. So I use these to mix into my foundation to either lighten it, darken it, add a little bit of glow. And at the beginning of the year, I had 2, which was the 2 e.l.f. products. Now I have 3. I recently got a travel sample size of the Saie Super, or the Glowy Super Gel, and I've been using that to mix in with my cream blushes to make a dewy blush, and I'm loving it that way. But I have not panned any since those e.l.f. ones are really hard to get through in a fast time period. Usually it takes me about a year, 10 months to a year to use one of those up. So I have not panned any, I've not decluttered any, but I did bring in the one which is the Saie product. The next category is my powders. I do my loose powders and my pressed powders together in the same category. At the beginning of the year, I had 5, now I have 9. So I will say that the Makeup Forever Compact, I keep that in my purse as my touch-up powder since it's a powder foundation, and there is a huge pan on that product. So excited to get more use out of that. The Nakia Joy powders are my holy grail. So I do have one that I'm working on right now, one in backup, the pink brightening one, and then one pressed powder. They're all the velvet finishing powder. Then I do have an Innisfree powder that I picked up from YesStyle this year, an e.l.f. Halo Glow powder, which I actually mix in with my Nakia Joy to add a little bit of glow. And then I have my touch-up powder that stays in my drawers that I can touch up while I'm working, and that is my Rimmel Stay Matte. The Wet n Wild powder I absolutely hate, so I do have that one decanted into another powder container, but I typically use that for if I am using the e.l.f. Halo Glow in tan. If I'm using that to tan up my chest, I use the Wet n Wild powder to actually powder that down. So that's the only way that I'm using that Wet n Wild powder, but I am hopeful to be able to use that up and get that rolled out of my inventory by the end of the year. But I have been able to pan 2 powders so far. Both of those were the Nakia Joy powder, like the loose powders, so I've panned 2. I've not decluttered any because all of these powders are kind of, they're holy grails, or the Wet n Wild one, it's useful, so no declutters, and I have purchased 6, which seems wild to me. I don't know how I've purchased 6 powders, but hey, I hope to have this number down, and all of these powders do serve a purpose in my collection. Then we are on to concealers. So at the beginning of the year, I did have 3, now I have 4. I was able to pan 1, which I panned the Natasha Denona concealer, but you will see that packaging in this picture. So I hated the doe foot on the Bobbi Brown liquid concealer, so I actually pulled everything out of that component, put it into the Natasha Denona component, and I like using that doe foot so much better. So I do have the Bobbi Brown liquid concealer. I forget what the actual name of it, but I do have that as my liquid concealer. Then I have the Bobbi Brown corrector in light bisque. I have the NARS complete matte concealer in creme brulee, and then I do have a backup of the NARS concealer. It was 50% off during an Ulta sale, so of course I was going to purchase it while 50% off. So I've panned 1, decluttered none, and purchased 2 so far this year. This is a good size for me for concealers. I don't know if I'd want to get any more than this. I'm getting really low on the corrector, and actually on the 10th is my 24 in 2024, so you will see a lot of these products up close and personal with how much use I've been able to get on them, but I will probably need another liquid concealer and another corrector by the end of the year. But that is a really good size concealer collection. That's really all I need. So I'm glad with those numbers. At the beginning of the year for SPFs. So I do try to use SPF every day. I use SPF every day if I'm wearing makeup, but if I'm just lounging around the house, sometimes I won't put on SPF if I know I'm not stepping outside that day. But at the beginning of the year, I did start with 2, and now I have 3. So I have the Paula's Choice Daily Wrinkle Defense. I have a mini of the e.l.f. It's not the Woe Glow. I keep forgetting what it's called, but it's their clear silicone sunscreen. I have a sample or a mini size of that. And then I do have these Super Spritz by Vacation, which is a spray SPF 50. I have been able to pan 3 SPFs this year, and that makes me super happy because that means that I'm actually putting on SPF, and I've purchased 4. Now, I do anticipate probably having to purchase another 2 or 3 before the end of the year, and I'll probably end up keep going back to my Paula's Choice one, which is my Holy Grail SPF. For brows, at the beginning of the year, I had 6, and now I have 4. So I have been able to pan 3. I've decluttered none because my brow products, I pretty much know what works for me. And so there wouldn't be anything that I would need to declutter unless I got it in like a FabFitFun and ended up hating it. But I pretty much have my brows down pat. So I do have 3 that I panned, and I purchased 1. I know I did have to repurchase my e.l.f. Wow Brow. So that is the one that I've had to repurchase, but I do have the Benefit 24-hour brow setter. That is my holy grail eyebrow gel. I do pick up quite a few of those during brow day. Then I have the sharpenable pencil from Benefit that I'm using right now. And then I also have the Perfect Brow from Anastasia, which also that's the one that you sharpen. I like those the best because on brow day, I get them 50% off, and then they last me anywhere from 8, 9, 10 months for that one pencil. And then the e.l.f. Wow Brows, I love those. I pick those up pretty much every 6 months or so whenever I run out. But I think I've curated and gotten a really good brow routine down. So I will end up restocking on brow day, but pretty much my numbers will stay in control for brows. This next category, I am super proud of myself because this category used to be out of control. So that is my bronzers. So at the beginning of the year, I did start with 7 bronzers, which even that kind of felt a little bit out of control for me, but now I'm down to 4. This is a little bit of a spoiler for my Project Pan, but so far this year, I have been able to pan 3 bronzers, which again is mind-boggling. I have decluttered none and I've purchased none. I think probably by the end of the year, I'm going to need to repurchase my cream bronzer, but I should not need a powder bronzer at least until the end of 2025. So that is my goal, to not bring any more powder bronzers into my collection, but I'm excited to have this number down to 4 because this number used to be a lot bigger. But a big category, speaking of a big category, and this category is not going down anytime soon because I love this category, and so that is my blushes. So at the beginning of the year, I had 20, and now I still have 20, but I was able to pan 1, I decluttered 1, and I purchased 2. So I did move some things in and out of my collection, and even the purchasing, I technically only purchased 1, but I ended up creating a new blush. So that one came in, so that is considered a purchase or something brought into my collection, just for the numbers' sake. So in the big palette with all the square pans, pretty much I repressed all of my Essence blushes, so like the Beloved, Bespoke, Believing, and Befitting. I think those are the 4. So I took those out of the round pans and I repressed them into square pans. And then I have a Franken blush that I made, my Cleavy and my Rowan, those 2 Franken blushes. I have a NARS Orgasm pressed into one of those pans, and then I have Makeup Geek Desire. I do have 3 of those pans actually rolled into my Project 10 uses, so you can check that out to see how I'm using those products. But otherwise, I have my 2 cream blushes in my e.l.f. Powder containers. Then I have my Hourglass blushes, my Natasha Denona, my Hourglass Ghost palette. Then I have the ColourPop I Need Space. I have a Clinique Pop blush in Heather Pop. I do have the Pat McGrath Bridgerton blush palette, which I ended up repressing the highlighter and created a new blush, so that palette is completely blush now. Then the one with pan is my Ofra Chicklet, and then the one at the bottom, for me, maybe it's for you guys, the bottom right, it looks kind of like a mosaic blush. So when I repressed all of my blushes into those square pans, they didn't fit the full amount of the blush in there. So I kind of took the extra and repressed it into another pan, and I came up with this kind of mosaic blush. This blush I called Serenity. So it is another Franken blush that I made myself, and Serenity, if you guys know, that is the name of the ship in Firefly. And if you've been following along, all of my dogs are named after characters from Firefly. So that is why I named that blush Serenity, because it was a mishmash of a bunch of things, and we know that the crew from Firefly is a mishmash of people that came together for a common goal of being cowboys in space. But The one that I panned the Dallas or the Benefit Dallas blush. I used that up last month, which was super exciting to use that up. So very excited to have that rolled out. The one I decluttered was the Jouer Duo in Rose Gold. It was just the mini. I think I did take some of that, and some of that ended up in Serenity as well. And so I kind of swapped out the Jouer blush for Serenity. So it was kind of a 1-for-1 swap. And then the only other one that I purchased, if I didn't say, the Natasha Denona is the only blush that I've officially purchased so far this year. I felt like I had to take a little bit more time on that slide just because there is 20 items in there. Now, of course, my Ghost palette and my Pat McGrath palette, those are counting as one product. I don't count individual pans, except for my blushes that I have repressed because they were individual compacts prior to me repressing them. So that is my explanation on that one. On to highlighters. So I started the year with 6 and now I'm down to 5. I will link down below also. I did a video repressing all of my highlighters. I basically mixed and matched and made highlighters that were like too dark for my skin tone. I made them work for me and repressed them into the Tarte palette. The only highlighter that is original to the packaging is the Becca one, and that's in Moonstone, and that has a beautiful pan on it from me rolling it into my deck of panning. So I love that I have beautiful pans on these highlighters. But my goal for these highlighters is to hit pan on the other 3 pans that are in the Tarte palette. And because I took other highlighters and created them into the Tarte palette, I am counting each pan as an individual highlighter because that kind of makes a 1-for-1 of the highlighters that I ended up depotting and mixing. I hope that makes sense. It made it to where my numbers didn't look completely skewed if I considered the Tarte palette just one product. So at the beginning of the year, I had 6. Now I have 5 pans of highlighter. I did completely pan a highlighter. So at the beginning of the year, I did completely use up the Fenty highlight in Mean Money and Hustler Baby. So that is a complete duo compact pan completely done for the year, and I've not decluttered any, and I didn't purchase any, and I don't anticipate wanting to purchase any other highlighters because I love the ones that I created. They work so well for me, and so I am very happy with those. I don't see myself needing another highlighter in a very long time. Now on to my setting sprays. I started the year with 8 and now I have 6. Typically, I go through about 6 or 7 setting sprays per year, so I bulk pick them up during Black Friday. That's why I started the year with so many, but I basically pick up the Gerard Cosmetics Slay All Day in Coconut, and then the e.l.f. Dewy setting spray, Dewy Coconut setting spray, so both coconut scents, so they meld really well together, because basically I take 2 bottles, I mix them together in a measuring cup, and then I pour them back into the bottles, and that is what I use for setting spray. I have been able to pan 2 of them. I don't declutter any because these are my holy grail setting sprays, and I have not purchased any, but I'll have to restock on Black Friday this year as well for next year. So I'm almost done with another bottle, but I didn't quite meet the cutoff for the end of June, so we are still at 6, but I will definitely have another empty setting spray coming up very, very soon. So that category is something that I use up completely every single year, so I'm not worried about having 6 items in that category. Now, I think I said in my last buys and buys that I've been going crazy for lip products, and I don't know what it is. I actually am wearing a new lip product on my lips today. Here's a spoiler for the buys and buys, but I picked up another gloss from the Sephora collection, and this one is in Dangerous, and it's this beautiful like black cherry gloss. Love it. So I've picked up quite a few lip products so far this year, because at the beginning of the year I started with 16, now I'm at 20. I've panned 5, I've not decluttered any, and I've purchased 9. So it's the 9 that's killing me. But just to kind of run through this photo real quick so you guys can see what I have in my collection, I do have my Marc Jacobs lipstick that is in my project pan, which you'll see an amazing update on that one coming up on the 5th. And then I have the... oh, that one's an Infamous. I have the ColourPop Virgo Moon, which I panned that lipstick like 2 years ago and missed it so much that I repurchased it. I'm also a Virgo, so I love having that lipstick in my collection. And then I do have, I'm trying to make my photos a little bit bigger so I can see them. I have the Pat McGrath lipstick in Fembot. I have the e.l.f. Jelly Pop lip oil. Then I ended up getting one of the Tower 28 glosses in Pistachio. I got that as like a free like add-on from Sephora. I have not tried that yet, but that is pretty much my newest lip product that I have. I have the Lawless Forget the Filler, and that is in the vanilla cherry scent. Then I have 2 products from, is it Roman? That's what I got in my Yes Style order. So I have like a balmy one, and then I have a lip stain, which I actually have really been enjoying using the lip stain in the morning times. Then I have a CoverGirl Yummy Gloss. I have 2 glosses from Sephora. One is the one in my project pan in Busy, which is a more pale pink, and then the one in Dangerous, which is that beautiful black cherry. Then I have an Hourglass Confession lipstick in If Only. I have 2 of the Too Faced Pillow Balms in Banana. Then I have one of the Pillow Balms. It's decanted into one of the lip gloss tubes that I told you guys about in my last video. That one is decanted and mixed with a little bit of a lip stain. Actually, that's in my purse right now. I need to take that out and put it back into my drawers. But the Pillow Balm in like Spice Cider is what is in that lip balm tube. And then the next lip balm tube is my other e.l.f. Reviver lip oil. I don't like the minty, and I didn't really like how sheer it was, so I mixed that one. I rolled that into my Project 10 uses so I can tell you guys, go back to that video if you haven't seen it, and I'll tell you guys a little bit more about how I mixed it. Then I have my NARS Air Matte Mousse something or another. It's like a matte lip cream. Then I have 2 of the Butter Bombs from Summer Fridays. One of them is in Vanilla Beige, and I did pick up the coffee. Is it coffee or cold brew? One of those. I picked up the coffee one whenever it released, and so on my last Sephora order, I did pick up the Sephora Gloss, the Summer Fridays coffee one, and then the Tower 28 free gift. Those are my 3 newest lip products. So those were 3 in one in one purchase. But I'm not mad about it. I'm loving testing out all of these different products. So I'm happy to have my 20 lip products. But I really need to work on getting through some of these this year. Now on to a category that has not changed at all is my lip liners. So at the beginning of the year I had 2, I still have the same 2. Now you guys can see that lip liner in Oh Snap is getting super tiny, so maybe in another month or 2 that one will be an empty, but I've not panned any, no declutters, and no purchases. So after I'm done with Oh Snap, I will go ahead and roll into the next ColourPop liner, which is in Brink, and that one I'll be able to use in the fall. But not an exciting category with the lip liners. But the next one also is kind of a utility type of category, and that is mascaras. So at the beginning of the year, I did have 6, and now I have 3. I'm actually wearing a brown mascara, so the one from Roman, that is it's like the hazel mascara. I actually really like that. I know one of you guys had commented that like it's really hard to take off, and you were absolutely correct. It is hard to take off, but I love the wand on it. I love the way it goes on. So I think I want to pick up this same mascara in black whenever I do my next Yes Style order. I don't know when that will be, but hopefully I can come up with some other products that I want to buy from Yes Style and get that mascara again. But again, I have the one from from YesStyle, that is from the Roman brand. Then I have my Holy Grail, which is the Clinique High Impact Mascara. And then I did get a Thrive mascara in a FabFitFun box. Not the biggest fan of that one. It's not the super viral Holy Grail Thrive one. It's their other one, and the brush is huge on it, and it gets everywhere. And it is a tubing formula, but I'm not the hugest fan of it. But again, started with 6, now I'm down to 3. I've panned 3 of them. I've decluttered 2. So I have oily lids. I live in a hot climate, and a lot of mascaras smudge and transfer on me. So if that happens like over a week's worth of use, they get decluttered. That's it. I can't mess with having raccoon eyes all the time. And I have purchased 2 so far this year. So I'm happy with the way that this category looks. Typically, I do have 2 mascaras kind of on rotation. And so I do have the brown/hazel mascara open right now, and I have the Thrive open right now. So those are my 2 mascaras that I'm interchanging, and I am very happy with my mascara picks, but I anticipate needing to pick up maybe 2 more mascaras this year. This category, I am convinced that this category will never be in control, and I don't really care because I really love this category. And this is my eyeliners. So I started the year with 22, and now I have 23. I will say that I was able to pan 2 so far. I have panned 2, decluttered none because I love all my eyeliners, and I've purchased 3. So kind of looking at the picture, at the very end I do have the Wet n Wild brightening one that I use on my lower inner rim. I think that one will be an empty this year, but we shall see. Then I have my shadow sticks, but I consider these and I use them more as eyeliners. So I have one from Alley Oop that I personally think is not very good, so that will probably get, which one of you guys suggested this also, mixing that in with a cream blush and making like a glowy blush. So that will be happening sometime this year. Then I have 2 from ColourPop. Then I have 3 ColourPop just regular liners. One of them is one of their like duochrome ones that they came out with. And then I have Wildcat and Get Paid, which is just a rose gold. I have 4 from Clinique. 3 of them are their high impact cream liners, and then I do have a black liquid liner. I like the liquid liners from Clinique because they have a brush tip. So that is my preferred liquid liner. Then I have one from Makeup Geek that is the silver. I actually really like that to tightline with it on more cool tone looks. I do have one of the liners from Sephora in Tiramisu. That one kind of went a little bit viral. I personally don't like that one. The color's nice, but I don't like the format of the pencil. I can go more into it if it ever rolls into my Project 10 uses, or if I end up finishing it up this year, I can go into more of my review on that one. But I do have 4 liners from NYX, and so I have Mauve, I have the golden one, I have Periwinkle, and I have Chartreuse. I think it's Golden Taupe is the golden one. And then I do have the rest of them are from Urban Decay. So I have Wild Side, Alkaline, Stash, Smog, Overdrive, and Vice. Vice is in my Project Pan, and that is getting super tiny compared to the full size of the other liners, and so I am hopeful that I will have at least 1 or 2 more empty liners for the year. This next category I was super proud of, so this is eye primers. So the beginning of the year I did start with 3, and now I have 2. I was able to pan 2 eye primers, so I panned a NYX Glitter Glue and then also the Natasha Denona eye primer. Very excited to get through the glitter glue because it takes about 2 full years of use to get through one of those. So that was an accomplishment. So I have decluttered none because I love my eye primers, and I've purchased 1. So I basically repurchased the NYX glitter glue. I think with the Milani eye primer, I like that one, but I think when that one is getting close to be done, or if they go back on sale during an Ulta sale, I'm going to pick up another paint pot because I really enjoyed using the paint pot last year as my eye primer. So that is my thoughts on my eye primer. So I am, just like last year, I'm going to skip over my eyeshadows because that is my biggest category. So I'll do that at the very end. So we're skipping over that and we're going into some of my skincare. So this is my moisturizers. So at the beginning of the year, I started with 8. Now I have 7. I'm not upset that this category has stayed the same because I am using them. So as you guys can see, I have panned 6 moisturizers so far this year. So me getting through 7 throughout the end of the year, I'm okay with that. I've not decluttered any because typically I know what my skin likes, so I only bring in things that I'm going to use, and I've purchased 5. I do like the e.l.f. Daily Hydration moisturizer in the tube. That is kind of my go-to that I can use whenever. But the Tula one I got in a FabFitFun. I love the Dr. Jart ceramiding creams. If my skin ever feels like the barrier is just broken down, that is such a beautiful moisturizer, but only buy it on sale. It is too expensive to be buying otherwise. And I did just pick up the Biossance one at a TJ Maxx, so that is my newest moisturizer to my collection. But I love the Biossance Squalene line. So whenever I saw that at the TJ Maxx, I went ahead and picked that up for the discount. And rolling into my daytime skincare. And so if you guys caught it, I did do a skincare video, and I will make sure to link that down below so that you guys can see, again, all of these products like in action and like more reviews on them. But at the beginning of the year, I did have 15 items for my daytime skincare. Now I have 11. I have panned 10, so I'll be able to use all this up by the end of the year, decluttered none, and purchased 6. I love the Tower 28 SOS spray. I pick up the jumbo during Black Friday, and then again, watch the skincare video because I kind of mix a lot of stuff together and I get my concoction of my serums. I love the Innisfree moisturizing or hydrating cleanser. That's my favorite cleanser. And then I really enjoy the Ordinary serums as well. And then my Innisfree toners / emulsions. I love those for that like extra dose of moisture. And then my 2 eye creams that are in there, I do have an eye cream from Good Molecules and one from Kiehl's. Both of those I kind of use interchangeably, but watch that skincare video if you want more in-depth reviews and kind of an explanation on how I use this skincare every day. Now rolling into my nighttime skincare, I did start the year with 11 and now I have 17. I've only panned 3, which that kind of boggles my mind, but a lot of these things are more long haul type of items. I did declutter 1. I decluttered the Ordinary Azelaic acid because I felt like it was breaking me out, and then I have purchased 11. But I have my Paula's Choice BHA, and then I have the BHA treatment, which is the 10-minute leave-on that you wash off. Then I have my cleansing oils, so I have one from Fourth Ray and then one that I picked up at Yes Style. I have my hyaluronic acid from The Ordinary and then my moisturizer cream that I use at night. I have the Murad AHA BHA scrub. That is the only like physical exfoliating scrub that I'll use on my face because it makes my face baby smooth with the little bit of physical because it is very fine particles, but also it has that AHA and BHA in there to do a chemical exfoliant as well while you're washing your face. The Vani cream is a wonderful night cream that I've been using. My 3 Clinique Take the Day Off bombs. Then I have a face oil from Ole Henriksen that I got in a FabFitFun, and I actually really enjoy that one. Then I have the Ordinary Rosehip Seed Oil. The little packets are my like zit stickers from CosRx. And then I have my different gels and then my prescription of my 15% azelaic acid. And so that is my complete nighttime skincare. So I feel like I shouldn't need to pick up a whole lot going forward. I know I'm going to need a new face oil coming up because the rosehip seed oil and the one from Ole Henriksen are getting low. But a lot of those are holy grails that I can continuously purchase because I know that my face and my skin reacts well to those. So let's shift into hair care. So at the beginning of the year, I started with 7 and now I have 11. I did just get 3 hair care items in my last FabFitFun, so that did boost my numbers, but I have panned 3 hair care items. I haven't decluttered any, and then I've purchased 6. So I do have 2 jumbo shampoos from Verb. I have the Ghost and then I have the Glossy shampoo. Then I have a shampoo and conditioner from Amika. This is the Mirror Ball, and that's the one that I got from FabFitFun. I have a mask from Shea Moisture. I have the Ordinary Hair Density Serum, which I need to go ahead and start using that again. It's not part of my routine. But I have the Verb Ghost Oil, which is a holy grail hair oil for me. Then I have the Ava NYC Split End Mender. I have the Palmer's Coconut Oil Hair Oil. I have the Ava NYC Main Magic 10-in-1 Primer. Then I have the Amika, what's this one called? The Smooth Over, it's like a 60-second in shower kind of like, oh God, where like the Wonder Water type things. I actually did use that on my hair this morning whenever I washed my hair, and we're doing okay, even though I need to dye it. My grays are coming through, but I'm almost kind of digging the stripes of gray. I don't know if it's something that I would want to keep or not, but I feel like I'm going to be able to get through the Ghost Oil and the Amika shampoo and conditioner this year. I'll need to buy a new face mask coming up because I go through those relatively quickly. I will consistently repurchase the Verb Ghost Oil. I love that oil. And the Ava NYC products, I could do without the main magic one, which is like a split end mender. I could do without that, but I do like the primer. Now, the like the sprayer on it is trash. So the sprayer that I have on mine is from my Amika one that I used up last year. So I kept the sprayer, and so the Amika sprayer is a lot better than the Ava NYC sprayer, but I do love all of those products. So we're going to roll into perfumes. And so my husband and I went down to I know, I don't want to like dox myself and saying where I am, but I mean, I'm in the Panhandle, and we went down to a very well-known tourist location where they have a lot of really cool shops. It's like where the Sephora is, but I still live like over an hour away from those places. But I went into the Sephora today and I was smelling some perfumes because I'm trying to pick out the next one that I want to buy. And I was very disappointed in the perfume selection. Like they moved the Sephora into a new building and it's twice as big, but the perfume section is still the same size as it was in the smaller building. And like, it's like they have certain like name brands, but they have so many of that brand that it doesn't make room for the more maybe like niche brands of fragrance. So I smelled another one from Kayali, and then I smelled the Mood Ring one that's supposed to smell like gummy bears. I didn't like the Mood Ring one. The dry down was not very good. But the new Kayali like sponge sugar one, that one actually smelled really good, and the dry down was really nice on that one. So even though the last time I bought Kayali, it kind of bit me in the behind with the pistachio one, I would be willing to maybe try again for the new like sugary sweet one. But on to my fragrance collection, but I'm itching to buy a new fragrance. So I started with 11 at the beginning of the year, and now I'm down to 9. So I have panned 3. I panned a full size and 2 minis. Let me verify that. No, I have panned 3 travel size. So that still doesn't make up for, maybe 3 or 4. If I can finish 4 travel sizes, that will equal me being able to purchase another fragrance for myself. But I panned 3 travel size, decluttered none, and purchased 1. So 1 came into my life through a FabFitFun. So I do have the Marc Jacobs Perfect, and I feel like I'm going to finish that one this year. It's so low down, and that's one of my favorite fragrances, so I can douse myself in that. So I do have a full size in the Marc Jacob Perfect. I have a 1 ounce in the Commodity Milk Expressive. I have a 1 ounce in the Vacation Fragrance. I have the 1 ounce in the Billie Eilish #1, and I have a 1 ounce in the Burberry Her Elixir. Then I have my travel sizes, which I have another one of the Marc Jacobs Perfect. I keep that one in my purse. That one will be done this year too. There's so little left in it. Then I have the Valentino Born in Roma Coral. I have the Kayali Pistachio, which I gave a review in my Project 10 Uses that it smells soapy to me, so it's not my favorite. And then I do have the Viktor and Rolf Ruby Orchid. So I really do like Viktor and Rolf Flower Bomb different spin-offs, or the, if I could buy this on a deal, I would love to get the Viktor and Rolf Bon Bon back. I used up one of those a couple years ago, and I love that scent. So I feel like I'm going to be able to use up at least, I would say, 2 more minis and 1 full size this year, and that will allow me to bring some more fragrance into my collection. But I'm liking how curated this is, and that I have scents for the different seasons. So definitely love those. I am also keeping tabs on, I'm keeping tabs on the inventory for my nail polishes, but my nail polishes are not rolled into my numbers that I'll show you guys at the end. I'm just tracking this for my own intents and purposes and my own knowledge. But at the beginning of the year, I did have 15, and now I have 17. I did pan 2 nail polishes. I decluttered 1, which I ended up decluttering like either a base coat or a top coat. I can't remember which one, but I did declutter 1, and then I purchased 5. I made a purchase from INLP, and I've really been enjoying their formula. And so you'll see that the 2 rows up top are all Holo Tacos. The black OPI one, I only use that to mark my Project Pan items, and so that one is so gloopy it doesn't go on my nails anymore. That one actually might be another declutter because I've revived it so many times that I don't think I can revive it anymore. And then the other Holo Taco one off to the side is the Peely Base Coat. That one works well whenever I'm doing it on my toes with a glitter, but if I do it on my fingers, the polish will pop off within 15 minutes. So I can't use the Peely Base Coat on my fingers. And then the bottom row is the INLP ones that I ended up getting. I think whenever I went through my vanity tour, I pulled out all of them and showed you guys which ones were which. But I'm sure you guys can tell from some of these, and I've rolled a bunch of these into my Project 10 Uses as well, which I do have the One Coat Black on my nails today with the Cosmic Unicorn Skin. That is like the holographic that you guys might be seeing on there. But this is currently rolled into my Project 10 Uses. I don't think I would go back to Holo Taco for a lot of polishes. I do like the ones from INLP, so I am just trying to get as much use out of these nail polishes as possible. So this brings us to my eyeshadow palettes. And so this category I love. This category I know is big, and this category I know that I will never go through any of these, but I am okay with my collection. I did do an eyeshadow palette collection video, which again, I will link that one down below. So all associated videos with you guys getting a peek into my collection, all of that will be down below if you guys want to see more of these things. And in that video, I open up every single palette and you guys can see that I'm using my shadows. So at the beginning of the year, I did have 67 palettes, and now I have 72. I've not panned any. I probably won't ever. I did declutter 1, which I actually ended up decluttering a liquid shadow, and then I did purchase 6. If you guys have been keeping up with my buys and buys and my beauty budget, I do have $400 for the year to buy palettes, and so I think I have a little bit less than half of that left after purchasing these 6 palettes. But let's go over these slides and I'll tell you all the different palettes that I have in my collection. We are going to start off strong with Natasha Denona. So I have Sunrise, Love, Bronze, Glam, Zendo, Retro, Pastel, My Dream, and Retro Glam. On our next slide, I have Metropolis, Yucca, I Need a Nude, the Golden Palette, and then I have my depotted minis. So I have Mini Zendo, Mini Retro, Mini Gold, Mini My Dream, Mini Love, and I did just purchase Mini Metropolis. That one I have not depotted yet, but that one will end up getting depotted and put into that Z palette. So going into some of my more indie palettes, so I do have the Cold Moon palette by Ensley Rain, the Basic Witch palette by Bella Beauté Bar. I have the Muse and the Gothic palette by Cosmic Brushes. I have the Rich Romantic by Glaminatrix, and then I have the Trick or Treat palette and the Merry Christmas palette from Odin's Eye. The quad that's down in the corner, the blue shade and the matte shade are from Give Me Glow, and then the two other shades are from Terra Moon. I just got those in. Thank you so much to one of you who recommended some shades from Terra Moon. I am loving them and loving playing with them, and I'll have to give you guys more of an update in my buys and buys. But those are kind of my indie shades and indie palettes. A little bit more indie on this one. So I do have my Lethal 24 pan. Those are all singles that I picked out for myself. And then I also have another single palette that is ColourPop, Makeup Geek, and Sydney Grace. And then I have my two Lethal palettes. I have the Wildflower and the Nightflower palettes. On my next page here, I have my Viseart. So I have Rosé, Edit, Paris Edit, the Theory Nuance palette, and then the Petite Pro in Apricot. Then on the other side, we have the Tati Beauty Volume 1, the Huda Beauty Mercury Retrograde, and the Sigma Quarter Rosa. If you guys have been keeping up with my No Pan Left Behind, then you guys also are getting more sneak peeks into these palettes. But this next slide is my ColourPop slide. So up in the Z palette, I do have my kind of deconstructed So Jaded palette. Then I have my deconstructed Give It To Me Straight. Then I have In a Trance. On the second row, I have my Star Wars palette, so Mandalorian, C-3PO, and the Child palette. The purple palette is singles from ColourPop. Then I have the Winnie the Pooh Sweet as Can Be, and of course my Pan That palette for this year, which is the It's My Pleasure. Some more mainstream palettes. I have 3 from Pat McGrath. I have the Utopian Dreams, which is the Mothership 10. I have the first Bridgerton palette, and I have the Darth Vader Sith Seduction Star Wars collab palette. 2 from ABH, which is the Sultry and Norvina. Then my last palette slide, but this is my Urban Decay and my Too Faced. So we have Stoned Vibes, we have Naked Heat, Naked Honey, Naked Ultraviolet, and Naked Wild West. Then for my Too Faced palette, I have my Just Peachy Mattes. I have the Chocolate Gold, the Pumpkin Spice, and the Italian Spritz. The very last page of eyeshadows is my potted singles. So I have the 3 melted chromes from Essence in Golden Crown, Think About You, and Warm Bronze. And then I have 8 ColourPop Super Shocks. My Super Shocks are in Birthday Cake, Birthday Girl, Sequin, How Far I'll Go, Colors of the Wind, Sail Away, Party 5, and Aster. Whew. So that is all of the products that I am tracking and counting. Now, when I pop up my next little graphics, you guys will see that I do count my body care, but I didn't take a picture of it because I'm not concerned. It's kind of just like scrubs and shave oil and like body moisturizer and things like that. Body oils, which I talk about in my buys and buys. So I'm not that concerned with my body care with showing you guys that category. But we're going to go into my Q1 and my Q2 numbers, and then we're going to compare those against my numbers in 2023. So if you guys love the geeky part of tracking your inventory, then this is for you guys. But let's go ahead and look at the beginning of the year. So at the beginning of the year, I did have 249 items in my collection, and you guys can see all of our numbers that we started with, and those were the numbers that correlated on my other graphics. For the first quarter, I did end up panning 35 items. I decluttered 2, and I purchased 50. So that number, the 50, is very large. But that is 11 primers. What are my big categories? 11 primers and 9 nighttime skincare items. So those are my biggest purchased categories. And we can see whenever we look at the plus and minus, a lot of my categories did end up going up. There's more green than red or gray on that. So we actually did increase our numbers by 13 in the first quarter. So rolling into April, we did have 262 items in the collection. So if we are rolling into quarter two, which starts in April, so we have the 262, I did pan 28 items. I decluttered 5 and I purchased 35. So again, that is a big number. I'm not used to bringing in that many items, and I think maybe the difference between last year and this year is I did up my beauty budget, so I do have a little bit more wiggle room in my beauty budget to bring in more items. But let's see, our big categories are 7 lip products were brought in quarter two, then 4 eyeshadow palettes, 3 daytime skincare, 4 nighttime skincare, 3 body care items, and 4 hair care items. So those were our big categories. But on this one, we did have a lot more red in the categories than we did greens and grays. So even though I purchased 35 items, my overall products only went up by 2. So we ended the middle of the year with 264 items. So we only went up by 2, and I hope I'm not going to need a whole lot more like refill items until the last quarter of the year. So I'm really hopeful that the third quarter has some better numbers. Even though the size of my collection and my current numbers, I'm not concerned with it. So this is not bothering me, but I do want to see my numbers continue to go down because that means I'm actually using my products. But a lot of these purchases are things that I needed to kind of repurchase certain items. So let's look at our differences. So in quarter one, comparing 2023 to 2024, so those two first quarters. So the big difference is we actually started with 261 items at the beginning of 2023, and we only started with 249 in 2024. My panning is pretty equivalent with 32 and 35. My declutters typically stay small, so I decluttered 3 in 2023 and 2 in 2024. It's the purchases. So I think last year I did like a no by February or a no by January or something like that. So that did impact the amount of items. Plus, like I said, I bought 11 primers this January when e.l.f. re-released them. So in 2023, I only had 16 purchases for that entire first quarter versus 50 for this first quarter. So that made our differences where I was able to reduce my numbers in 2023 by 19 versus this year I went up by 13. So the ending of our quarters was 242 versus 262, so a difference of 20 items. Again, I'm not upset about these numbers, but I just want to be aware of these numbers. But let's look at quarter number 2. So in 2023, we started with the 242 versus the 262. I was able to pan 41 items in quarter 2 last year. What was I on to pan 41 items? But I was only able to pan 28 this year. Declutters are equivalent with 5. And then purchases are 30 versus 35. Again, very, very close. But the big difference was how much I was able to pan last year. So I was able to bring my inventory down by 16 last year versus me going up by 2. So at the end of quarter 2 of last year, we were at 226 items versus 264. So now we're looking at a spread of 42 items. So I know my inventory has grown with lip products, with eyeshadow palettes, and with primers. But the other categories that really matter to me, I used to have 15 foundations, and now I have 2 that are almost done and 2 that are waiting in the wings. Like, that feels good. my brow items, like those are ones that I'm going to be able to use this year. So that one feels good. There's a lot of categories in there that feel good for me. The other categories that are a little bit out of control, quote unquote, my blushes, my eyeliners, and my eyeshadows, I'm not worried about that. I'm okay with that. So those are the numbers. And that is my inventory for the year. I hope that you guys have been keeping track of my buys and buys, where I show you everything that I'm bringing in and everything that I'm using up. If you guys want to see another video that is just the inventory by the numbers, where I actually go through like a screen recording of my spreadsheet and go through and show you the dog hair that's flying in front of me, but I show you guys what actually has been used up and what actually has been brought in, let me know if you guys want that video. That'd be very easy for me to film and edit and get up for you guys. But this is my inventory. I'm very happy with this. I don't feel like there's any category in my collection that I feel overwhelmed by. Everything I'm able to use, and I'm already at 50% of my palettes used for the year, so I feel really good about this. I'm staying on track with my beauty budget. I'm staying on track with, not allowing things to expire and go bad before I use them. I feel really good. Even though my numbers are 44 products higher, I feel good about this. This number does not bother me at all. And I know that you guys are very aware of how I try to be conscious about my consumption with beauty products and how I am mindful about using my items up. So you guys are going to have to let me know how you guys are doing on your inventories. If you guys have used my spreadsheets in the past, how are you guys doing? I know at the beginning of the year when I brought my spreadsheets out, a lot of you guys downloaded them and went ahead and started to do your categories. So you guys are definitely going to have to let me know how you're doing. And it just started raining outside. It's doing one of those Florida things where it's like raining for 10 minutes and then getting hot and then raining for 10 minutes and getting hot and then raining for 10 minutes. So it is raining and I have half a cup of coffee here, so I kind of want to curl up in bed with my coffee and listen to the rain while I edit this video. But I hope that you guys enjoyed the numbers and the graphics and the comparisons. I will be doing this again at the end of the year and letting you guys see throughout the entire year what I am able to use up and how my inventory changes. Now, you guys know I do an end of year empties with my makeup items and with my beauty items, so I show everything in that video as well. And I am just so thrilled with the way that my inventory is and how I'm using my products. So I'm going to go sit down next to a window while it rains and enjoy the weather. But go ahead and I'm going to encourage you, do all the things. Make sure to hit a thumbs up on this video. Let me know that you guys are liking my content. Make sure to subscribe and hit the bell for more conscious consumerism, makeup, project panning, puppy dogs, eyeshadow looks, which Andy did request me to do another get ready with me, so I do want to do a get ready with me with the golden palette, so that is going to be coming up as well as kind of a bonus video. I have my Project Pan update. I have my update for 24 and 2024 coming up, so make sure to stick around for those. And if the camera angle just changed a little bit, it's because Washburn just knocked into my tripod. That's the puppy dogs. Oh, I was going to tell you guys my inventory on dogs. I had 4 at the beginning of the year, and I still have 4. Isn't that right, buddy? You want to say hi? You say hi? As he hits everything with his tail. I know you don't like the lights. Washburn says hello to everyone. He thanks everybody for checking in on him after he had his surgery. So, oh, he's licking my arm now. Now he's going to want to cuddle, so I really do have to sign off. Drop me a comment down below. Let me know how you're doing. Let me know how you're doing with your inventory, any out of control categories, any categories that you're feeling really good about. Let me know about that. But I'm going to go play with this little guy and edit and enjoy the rain. But as always, I'm going to wish you guys a beautiful day, and I'll catch you in my next one.